6:37, let's talk Verify. This morning, as a lawyer claims there is a brand new law passed in Florida unconstitutional, going against both freedom of speech and freedom of the press.
Now, we're talking about the new mugshot law you've likely heard about. On your signs, Leah Shields is verifying how this law will actually play out. Leah.
Yes, the question here is, does the law violate freedom of the press? Now, the law will give Floridians the legal right to request their mugshot be removed from websites. If it's not removed, the company could face a hefty fine. The person who helped write the law says it targets mugshot websites, but it could have a different impact.
The law right now doesn't encompass news agencies anyway. So
Blake Mathese worked with lawmakers to draft this law after his personal experience with his mugshot seemingly everywhere online, despite his case being dropped. Now, despite his intentions, constitutional lawyer Jennifer Mansfield says this law will impact news agencies.
It chills speech, right? It chills the reporting of news because people become afraid of the severe legal sanctions.
The law targets a person or entity whose primary business model is the publishing or disseminating of such photographs for a commercial purpose. Mansfield says commercial purpose is vague and can be used against the press. She says the law is unconstitutional because it uses prior restraint, meaning judicial suppression of material that would be published or broadcast on the grounds that it is libelous or harmful.
It's beneficial for the public to have information about how our legal justice system works, and that includes the arrest process.
Nieman Lab, an organization covering freedom of the press in the digital age, covered a very similar bill in Florida's legislature in 2013, saying, quote, "The First Amendment does not allow the government to regulate content simply because it's distasteful." The law goes into effect October 1st.